Friends, welcome to the Barker Hangar at Santa Monica Airport in Santa Monica, California. We are here for a special event. If you have been following BMW Group over the past, I want to say 6-7 months since March, they've been celebrating their centenary. And instead of looking back at like 507s and 328s, there was a remit from Munich to look forward to the next 100 years. And this has turned into 4 separate design concepts from 4 separate divisions of BMW Group. So you and I are going to do something rather special, in that we're going to look at 3 of those design concepts. If we have some time, I'll try to get to the motorcycle, but 3 of the design concepts, one starting with the BMW, then move on to the Mini and the Rolls-Royce in separate tech reviews. So today, let's start with the BMW Next 100. Over the past year or so, you and I have looked at a lot of design concepts, but we've also looked at different propulsion systems. And we need to focus on propulsion systems before we get into design here. And one of the things that you and I have discussed over the past year or so is electric cars and different propulsion systems, how it gives designers more free range to make a car look like something that you are not used to at all. Like, for example, you look at a BMW i3 and then you look at a Tesla Model S. The BMW i3, that is really a vision of a car based on a different propulsion system, meaning there was more free license to be able to push passenger compartments farther out to the wheels and make more room, make it taller, because you don't have issues of packaging an engine. But Elon and Franz over at Tesla, they did something different. They made their S look like an A7 because your eye today is trained to look at an A7 and say, I want that. And that's part of the reason why the Tesla Model S sells so well. Here's a bit of a different situation, because the logic here is this is 25 years into the future. The remit was, what does a BMW look like in the year 2040? So one of the interesting things was, well, if we can no longer have to deal with packaging issues of where do we put an engine, then can we tweak aerodynamics? So in one example here, they said, okay, let's make the car look a little tighter, clean up the design around the wheel. But then that's great, looks like it's from a movie, which it does, but how do you make this work? So if you come around here, you'll see that there is no steering wheel here, but Anu is going to help us demonstrate how this whole thing works. So Anu, you want to join us here? Not really a steering wheel, looks like something from a spaceship. This is like a multi-million-dollar show car, so I didn't want to do it because I don't want to pay for breaking it. But notice what's happening here. They're almost like tiles. It's like this tessellated tile, and as the wheel turns, Anu, can you turn the wheel for us again? And as the wheel turns here, you can see the tessellated graphic moves because they're actually separate pieces. So there's really 2 benefits for this. Number 1, the idea is aerodynamics, to make the packaging cleaner. The airflow goes over the car a bit cleaner. And number 2, it resolves kind of a personality conflict, because since 1975, you and I have known BMW as the ultimate driving machine, Freude am Fahren. And really, the remit here was, what does the next 100 years look like? And when you are the ultimate driving machine, you could imagine that autonomous driving and a whole lot of EV doesn't really fit with your history of Freude am Fahren. So what they've done is, instead of just throwing out the past, well, that's a lot of brand identity there. What they've done is they've come up with 2 personalities. So what you're looking at here is boost mode. This is the mode in which you actually drive a BMW like you and I would drive a BMW today. However, Anu is going to show us ease mode. And you can see this, it's like a magic abracadabra thing where we're going to turn there it goes. The steering wheel goes away. And notice this, the console goes in a little bit, and there was some movement here on this like repeating tessellated graphic from the exterior of the car. This is ease mode, so this is autonomous driving mode, and this is how Kareem, Adrian, and the design team at BMW have resolved this interpersonality conflict of where the world is going to what BMW stands for. So this is full-on autonomous, but then there's still a couple of issues you need to resolve, like come on around here. Yes, you still have the very much predominant kidney grille here as a design graphic in the car that gives you an identity of a BMW. But if in this, let's say this is what, Judge Dredd days of 2040, and someone's walking across the street here, how does the car communicate or really acknowledge that you're not going to like mow down 10 kids? That's what this is for here. So there's this light that says, hey, I'm a car, but I acknowledge you. So now take a look at the dashboard. Notice it's got a tessellated graphic scheme on there. And it's not a graphic scheme, it's actually separate pieces. And what those separate pieces do is alert the driver and the passenger to some oncoming issue. So let's say, for the sake of discussion, there's a pedestrian over on that side of the car. Instead of like having the seat shake like in a Cadillac, or there's a blip that comes from the mirror like in an Audi, this piece here, just on that side, they actually start to come up and they tell the driver, hey, there's something going on here. And this is if it's in either autonomous, meaning the ease mode, or in boost mode. Neat little touch here. So you're starting to see a theme. And the theme is, yeah, this is what a car could look like. Like Adrian himself was like, this is our stab in the dark of what a car would look like in the future. But the logic is what we're trying to showcase here. The logic of how do we blend Freude am Fahren with the future of autonomous driving or even EV propulsion. Now, brings up a couple of other things here. Now, we talked about the body in the front here, how it moves around and how that aids aerodynamics, but there's another trick with this back here. So if you're already going to put some investment into moving pieces or tiles that enable a moving wheel to be housed, why couldn't you use that to help airflow go around a car? And that's what Adrian has focused on down here. So if you look at let's make it up, a Toyota Prius C, even though that's a smaller and supposedly more fuel efficient car, those cars are not as fuel efficient as a larger, say, C-segment car because of the way the air leaves the car in the back. So like a Toyota Prius, a regular Prius is more fuel efficient than a Toyota Prius C because of the way the rear end is designed. So the logic here is, yes, there are moving pieces, but not to steer the wheel. Instead, they're used to extend the length of the vehicle to clean up the airflow over the car as it leaves the car, thus making the car more efficient. So these are a couple of things that BMW designers have designed into this concept to showcase, again, the paradox of how does Freude am Fahren work in the future. Now, there are a couple of other pieces, like notice there's a lot of carbon fiber in here. We've talked about this in the BMW 7 Series episode, as well as some Ask MotoMan episodes, that BMW, they don't just use carbon fiber, they actually own a carbon fiber factory up in Washington, so my guess is that's where this comes from over here. That is effectively all of the detail pieces that I want to share with you, but really now you and I need to kind of sum this up and what this means going forward. So that leaves the very obvious question of why this? Well, that leaves us with the life of being a designer. There's really two things that designers get to do. They do production cars, they do concept cars. Now, there are some designers that they love working on production cars because their vision makes it to the road, and I love that. And you know we've introduced you to many designers like Randy Rodriguez over the years, that his vision has made it to the road. And then there's concept cars, and what concept cars do, it takes the parameters of government regulations, bean counters, some of the stuff that you and I, car guys and gals, like put on designers and allow them to do stuff like this. Like, for example, just look at the general shape here. You could call this a volume shape, you can call this a blob, or whatever you want to call this shape. What it's designed to do is take advantage of a sled type platform where there are batteries underneath here, and EV propulsion, or really whatever propulsion system it is. So that gives us, or really leaves us with a question which I want to leave to you guys. I personally think that Adrian and Kareem and the guys at BMW have come up with a very nice solution of how do you evolve Freude am Fahren, the ultimate driving machine, and really to us, driving dynamics in the future. Here, it sits side by side, two distinct personalities in the same car, at least in theory. But the question I want to leave with you guys is, does that work? Do you think that is something that'll work in the future? And more importantly, would you buy something like that? And don't just tell me yes or no. Tell me why or why not. And you know what? Here's a twist. I don't want you to be wonderful whiners here. I don't want you to say yes, and then yeah, I'll definitely buy it, or no, that's a stupid idea. I want to know an alternative solution. What would you do if you were Adrian, Kareem, and the guys? Let me know in the comments below or via our social media, MotoManTV, all one word, MotoManTV, all one word, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And with that, I want to leave you with two things. Number one, make sure you download our fancy new mobile application, which you can download for free at Apple iTunes or Google Play. And being that we're coming to you from an airport right now, I feel compelled to tell you we are live on 5 international airlines. And number two, a fun fact. So Adrian, who runs group design for all of BMW Group, so that's BMW, Mini, Rolls-Royce, and the motorcycles, he was the one that actually penned the Z9 concept car, which turned into the 6 Series, the real car. So that's proof that actually a concept car turns into a real car, or in this case, turns into the top spot at BMW for your design. So with that, until I see you next time with either a Mini, a Rolls-Royce, or something else, bis später.